What is love? Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me in my What is Love project. 30 days exploring what is not, and whatever is love. Day 11. Water. Yesterday I talked about how I felt ocean is love. What about water? I feel water is probably very neutral. But then, through experiments, I found that water responds to love very easily. So, why don't we do some experiments? Maybe you already have heard of water and experiment with water. For example, Professor Emoto had done a lot of work to examine water under the microscope when he made them into water crystal. And also I know many of my friends and colleagues, they've been charging the water that they drink with their thoughts. Today I would like to share with you the way I like to do this. I call it loving the water. It's very simple. And if you are in an experimental mood, you can first of all have a glass of water and you have a little sip and taste it. Notice how it tastes, the feeling in your mouth, and even perhaps notice what it does to your body. And then, when you're ready, love the water. See, I have told this to my friends before, and they said to me, "What do you mean by loving the water?" I guess I just did it, but let me try and see if I can explain to you how I do it. I don't know, I just have this natural love for water. Perhaps it's just the way I was born, perhaps it was my upbringing. What I actually find interesting is how some people that I have met, they don't like water, or they don't like drinking water. They said they don't like the taste of water. And I wonder why they don't like this very essential part of us. Because as you all know, we are made of a high percentage of water in our body. And I wonder, perhaps through my upbringing, maybe my parents gave me a lot of encouragement whenever I drank water, and so I had very happy association with water, and so I always love it. I love the taste of it, and maybe the more I love it, and even whenever I drink it, I was like, oh, I love it, and I drink it, and I feel it's delicious. And perhaps some people, maybe they choke on water as a baby, so they don't even remember that happened. And maybe of these or other incidents that make them find water not very nice. And so, if you are one of these people who don't like water, how to love water? I guess maybe we can get to like anything a little bit more if we start thinking about how they come from. I mean, just look at water. Maybe some people drink tap water, and maybe some people drink bottled water. But how does this come to our tap or this bottle? Rain, right? And all those raindrops fall into a reservoir, or the river, or the ocean. And how do they become rain? They evaporate, they go up to the sky, they become the clouds, and then all the water drops come down and we call it rain. And they might be even snow in very cold places. And that's such a miraculous cycle. It's like they just happen on their own. But then, when we think about another layer, how does the water go to our tap, to the bottle? There are so many people putting so much effort. For example, people who work in those water plants, including people who work in those plants that deal with sewage water. And then there are people who make pipes. I don't know how they make pipes from metal in factory, I suppose. And of course, yourself or your loved ones who have to work for money to pay for the water bill and even pay to buy the tap and then repair the pipes and whatever. See, maybe very often we think water is just water, is that we see them every day, it's so common. But when we start looking into how they come to us, it's full of wonder and a lot of work. And maybe, just maybe, you begin to find that water is actually very special. And maybe when you look into the glass of water, you might just start having this feeling that, wow, it's so wonderful to have a glass of water in my hand. And maybe you can love it automatically. And it's okay if you don't. I'm sure that there is something that you love in your daily life. I don't know what is that. In my flight attendant days, when I had to always have a smiley face, I mean a genuine smiley face, I came to learn and try how to smile genuinely all the time. And that was, of course, to keep myself happy. And what made me happy? I mean, even when I'm having a fight with my boyfriend or, whatever is happening, how do I keep myself happy? At the time, usually I just think about ice cream because I love ice cream. So whenever I wasn't being able to put on a happy, genuine smile, I just think of ice cream. I look at my passenger that they are like ice cream sundae and I can smile. And so maybe now, whenever you drink water, if you can't feel love for water, just think of something that makes you happy, something that bring love out of you. And then you give this feeling to the water. And it's very wonderful, this feeling of love. And you would just know when you are loving the water or you have put love into the water, even though you can't feel it. And then have another taste. See how it tastes like. And feel the texture. I don't know what it will be like for you, but usually when I do this experiment, because I just like to play around with water, I always feel there's smoothness in the water that I can't explain to you. So I hope that you will do this little experiment for yourself, which is very simple. Have a glass of water, taste it, feel it, notice it, and then put some loving thought, whether it's just loving the water or draw up this loving feeling and let it go to the water and then have a taste again and see what happens. And now let me share with you another experiment. I actually did it just now for myself because, as you know, our body is full of water. And I wonder what it would be like if I say to all this water inside me that I love them. And you see, it's particularly wonderful if you are like what I used to be. You see, at the time when I didn't feel any love for myself, and some very kind people say to me, maybe you can look into the mirror and to say you love you. Maybe you can just say as you're resting, I tried that, and often with a lot of difficulty, because when I didn't feel love for myself at all, I felt I was lying. And that was what I just don't like to lie. And so I couldn't feel it. I mean, the most I could do is I said to myself, "You're all right. I'm okay with you." And maybe you can try that too if you find that it's so hard to say, "I love you," or "I love me." But now, maybe it will be easier to just find a quiet moment. I did this in bed because as we're addressing to the water within us, I like to have this like a environment for the water to flow nicely, just in case it will flow nicely. So I was lying in bed and I closed my eyes and I didn't hug myself this time. I just lay back and I say to the water inside me, and I said, "Oh, the little drops of water within me, I love you." And then, of course, I don't know why, usually I like to just automatically do a deep breath. I allow myself to do that, and I didn't even have to do any thing special. And then my focus was in my whole body. And I noticed it was as if all the fluid started flowing smoothly. It started for me this afternoon from my sinuses. I felt they were flowing, and I felt even just now, because I just said it, I can feel they're moving in a different way than it was before. I felt they were moving all over my arms. I wonder maybe it was together with the blood, or even different part of my organ. They're like all this lymph, and I don't really know all of those names, but it was a wonderful feeling to feel that water, all of this fluid flowing within me. And it was just like that. I started feeling love. I didn't even question whether the love was coming from the water that's in my body, or maybe that was the love for me. I didn't question anything. I was just silent, enjoying that nice feeling as that fluid flow within me. And when I started thinking about it, I thought, this would be a very nice way as kind of like a self-healing, because as the fluid goes, and because I started it flowing from saying to all this water within me that I love them, so all this love that's flowing with the water within me probably will wash away whatever that does not serve me. And it's just so simple. It's just like this natural cycle. In the nature, how the water will go through different cycles, as rain to the ocean, river, and then go back up to the ring. And then just like that, there is this whole natural cycle happening within my body. So that's it for today. I'm now feeling the effect of this, what I said to the water within me. And I think I'll go and rest a little bit now. Thank you very much for joining me. See you tomorrow.